Everything is live. We are live on 5. You ready, brother?
Yeah.
That's kind of the end jumping today. We're like, I feel. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spill.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, welcome to Spill. If you were listening on Spotify, thanks for listening to Spotify.
Thank you.
Share the link right now.
All 16,000 wonderful people that downloaded that.
Very grateful for
and
you.
You're allowing us to create that momentum flow and sending it to other people. I had a message from someone that's just like, oh my gosh, I've been sent this from a friend of mine. And I was just like, okay, it's good, right? Or you hate it? She's just like, no, I love it. And So thank you for you wonderful people that download, and not only just download, but you share it with others and cut it up and do your own edits and send it out in the world as repatriation of love and everything else. Like, yeah,
it's never ever lost on us. And
never.
And also thank you to everyone who subscribed on our Patreon. We've started a new thing called Spill After Hours.
Yeah.
Which is basically after each conversation we have like a 20-odd minute, 30-minute chat about the deeper stuff.
Yeah.
That maybe we feel, I don't know why. What is it? Do you think it feels safer in some strange way to have it behind
I don't know if it's safer. I just think it's us being, there is a word that I'm looking for, and you do it when you're looking after kids.
Oh, like not censoring, but like safeguarding.
Safeguarding.
I suppose that's not quite right.
There's a no. Safeguarding to an extent is because we understand that those that are gonna tap into Spill After Hours are people that very much surf the same frequency as us.
And we'll have the context of the rest of the conversation.
100%.
That's probably the bigger bit, actually.
Which means then that it's not a person that's kind of just invested into a 30 to 90 second clip.
Yeah.
And it's spoken to them in whatever context they wish to receive it. Anybody that's going to be jumping on our Patreon are people that are like, oh, no, I really mess with the guys.
Yeah, and we'll have the context of our personalities.
And they follow the thought processes and patterns that we have. So there's far less having to... It's when your cousins come over to your house versus your boy from school. Your cousins know, at the door, take off your shoes, Bridget.
Yeah.
Your mate from school, whoa, play. Can't be running up in the front room. No, the shoes at the mat there. Make sense?
100%.
Cool.
So if you're into that, please do hit the link, I guess, here in the video.
Even if you're not into it, hit the link.
You know what? Even if you're not into it, take a gamble. It's £2. £2 a month, man. Come on. Like, listen.
More than that, it's our way of finding a way to give you more of ourselves without having to talk about the unforeseen Wizard of Oz bits that we do behind the curtain. Everybody just saw what the wizard was doing out in front of the people, and it looked glorious and super easy. And then you got behind the curtain, and was like, that's a lot of machinery, bruv. That's a lot of strings and threads being pulled here. So, in the spirit of love, we're pulling bare levers and strings, but we're doing it just because we love it.
For real.
And if you receive it in the way that we intend it, then jump on and I mean this as I say it, let's change the world. That is what you will find at the root of the foundation. I plan to leave an imprint here for as long as I'm visually accessible, and when I'm not, I plan for you to have so much to listen to and to work with and to try out that you can finish what I've started, or you can just go make your own thing.
How often do you think about that? About like...
All the time.
When I'm not here, what's left behind?
All the time.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm looking at the world and I can't believe that people so intelligent are behaving in such an unsustainable way. So I'm not a person that, like, I can feel the party's going to go left before it goes left.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
100%.
Which is why I think the older I'm getting is the more I'm like, yeah, nah.
Because I don't feel so much that, like, I do feel this about the planet, obviously, in like the sense of the world. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like climate change and like this, I do, and like social justice issues, I do feel obviously like an innate sense of like wanting to pour some antidote into those waters. But actually more so than that, I just feel it on an interpersonal, emotional level with people. The thing that breaks my heart the most in the world is the amount of beautiful people, and I mean that spiritually, not aesthetically, but also aesthetically, who really hate themselves, really don't have an inner dialogue of love, or don't have an outward perception of themselves of how beautiful they are. And even if I mean like down to just like being attractive, people that have been fed lies and their entire lives, or maybe like weren't taught how to read and write that language of internal self-love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
That's where I think, that's the stuff I feel like I can get into and be like, no, like the amount of my friends and people in my life, I'm like, you do realize that you're like a fucking miracle. You do realize that, right? And people sort of like laugh and get awkward. Like, no, like for a minute, let's stop pretending. Let's be like deadly serious for a minute. You do realize that though, right? And people like often get a bit affronted and are like, well, no, I'm just like, and in that kind of partly British, but partly very human, very inner child, wounded way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We've rewired ourselves. And because we've rewired ourselves without the information of the architect, you're hoping for the best. To make sense? And
it's going to be a heavy one today.
Of course it is. And when you consistently are hoping for the best without factual truth, not ideology, because everybody's got an opinion. I can tell you what I think all day. So whilst I can tell you what I think, I only invest in what I know. If I'm a safe investment option. Make sense? You've got the guy that punts on the market and you've got the guy that punts on the market, but he punts on the market based on, and he shouldn't have this, insider trading. He goes, actually, this ain't right. So insider trading, in terms of the context of how we're speaking, is life experience. So, and I've said this to you a million times, I never gamble. And the only time I will gamble is when I know I'm going to win. So is it really a gamble? Why?
Educated guess.
It's life experience. The numbers very rarely lie.
Yeah.
So we're living in a time and age where a lot of people would rather invest in theory and sell you on theory and discount experience because experience takes time. And especially for where we're living now, we don't want to take the time to go through the process to understand the reason. We want the now for the visual, for the projection. It's unsustainable. So I look at everything around, and that's why I think about beyond. Not gone, beyond. What's beyond what I can see? I just came back, obviously touring, and one of the things that I love most about takeoff and landing is what's beyond where I can see before I take off and what's underneath what I can't see because of how high I'm flying. And there's life on both planes. What am I tapped into? So
it was that moment. We both watched Stutz last night.
Oh Lord!
Whoa, Lord,
bro.
That
are we doing this now, or
should we do Stutz now? Or
no. Because I just want to make sure, like, how
we can get into it. I mean, I feel like we started there. We started in the inner.
All right, cool.
Or can you talk? We should tour first. There's a lot of tour we need to get into as well. Though there's a lot of tour stuff.
I'm easy. It's whatever you want to do. I'm vibing.
Maybe we'll find a way to combine the both. I imagine we will.
I want everybody to be aware. Lucas and Jam, you actually let me open you into this. Lucas very rarely, Lucas very often, he'll set like a plan in place. Like we'll be like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. Like, okay, cool, run it. We're gonna just run it. And he'll fully in the middle of the whole thing be like, actually, do you wanna? And I'm like, wait there. I swear we done prep to go for. And to be fair, when I talk about prep, we don't really prep like that. But it'll be
a conversation of like what do we want to touch on? What's the general? Like, what are the areas? Where's the walls of the conversation kind of thing?
Oh, funny.
We rarely stay anywhere near them, but like
ever. What are walls?
What even are walls?
That's something I want to talk about regarding to Stutz as well. So I'm glad you brought up walls.
Well, there's just some moments in that I found myself, like I cried multiple times during that film.
Wow.
But in a really strange way that felt like I was leaking. Like not like I was crying. Like, you know when you're like engaging crying, when you're like, oh great, I'm present in this process. Like I was sort of like quite neutrally still, and mechanically I was like, my body's crying. And it was the bit that really got me was when he's talking about the shadow self. He's talking about how the thing that you, so if anyone hasn't seen it, I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, this is a pretty common concept. This is like a Jungian thing, right? But like incorporating the shadow, that we all have this idea. Well, actually, it felt a little different to that Jungian idea of the shadow, because that version is like, as I understand it, is the things that you don't want to acknowledge in yourself and the things that you hate about yourself and things like yourself. And this whole thing was about, you need to bring that on board and integrate that correctly and love that. And what is that? And I'd never considered that the shadow wasn't like, my anger or my insecurity, it's like me at 5, like shy, anxious kid at 5, who like when I now find myself feeling like a 5-year-old who's shy or anxious, or didn't get what I want, or didn't get the validation I wanted in any setting, and this happened at the weekend.
Wow.
You know what?
Listen, I don't make it my business to be out here talking man's business, you know. Like, the reason why I'm a trustworthy person is because I'm a vault. You know what I'm saying?
That one can stay in the
I'm
vault
the Federal Reserve. You can't break in here.
What I love about you, man.
Are you crazy?
But just for reference for you, like, listeners can use imagination.
Oh, I heard it. I just didn't want to let off that because, man, I got a camera right in my face. I don't know if you're going, that's a little private joke between them, man, there. I just kind of be like, look, we're cool.
But learning to love that kid, and like, when that kid arrives in my life, because of course it will. I can't like this character I'm playing where I'm in charge all the time, and I'm like on, and I'm thinking I'm charming or thinking I'm being confident or whatever. That character, that's going to fall apart 100 times a day, realistically. Awesome. So like learning to love those parts.
Yeah,
that's a new concept to me, which is strange. I didn't think it was. You know what I mean?
Of course, I think when you're presented with information that requires honest evaluation. You discover things about yourself that are surprising simply because you didn't expect to discover that.
Yeah.
How many times, and Jam, you'd know about this as well, how many times have you lost something in your house and you're looking for it and finding a whole bunch of other stuff you were never looking for? And you're like, how the heck did this t-shirt get down here? What? I didn't know them trainers were down in the. And there was a time, however many months ago or weeks ago, that you were looking for these very items and you just gave up on them, simply because when we're often looking for something else, we find that thing that we need or needed in a previous moment, so on and so forth. And I think a lot of our processes are so avoidance based that the trauma of escaping the situation outweighs the process of learning through the endurance of the situation. So I was listening to one of my favorite lecturers who says that the biggest issue that most of us have is that the enemy is external, and it's not. He says the real enemy is inner me. I actually had to pause the whole lecture and, oh Lord.
I think I might just pause right then, bro.
I was grabbing, and my bucket chair ain't even got no handles. And I'm like, oh, help. And it was amazing because as you were talking, and obviously we watched Stutz last night.
Jonah Hill's new film on Netflix, for anyone that's not aware.
Oh my gosh.
It's beautiful.
Like, to say, and it's a level of beauty that is, how do I put it? It's the naked truth of who and what we are. And we were texting each other yesterday, and I remember we were saying that this goes against everything he's been taught about Hollywood, about persona, about brand identity, and about projection. So, and obviously there was kind of, I made a couple of headings about what I want to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I got a notes page, bro.
That's what I'm saying. To be allowed to look at the journey, and a lot of people sit there and go, well, we don't really get to look at the journey because obviously it's just these two guys that are having this conversation, and obviously Jonah's mum comes in, but that's really it. It's kind of just him and Stutz, to be fair.
Yeah.
But the reality is sometimes you don't need to have read the whole manuscript to have understood the story and the plot. And that's where, in terms of, for myself, that's where I live. I live in the non-scene. I want to be able to discern, because at that point I am not dealing with what you've told me or how you've narrated it to me. I am seeing it in real time.
Yeah.
Even though it happened before time. Makes sense?
Completely, man.
So in terms of what you were talking about regarding the shadow, Stutz presents a very beautiful way of understanding the lifelong battle you are going to have. Problems are always going to be here. Struggles are always going to be here. Mm-hmm. What is your intentionality within your mentality to not only learn, but overcome? Mm-hmm. Overcoming means to go through and remain intact. Yeah. That don't mean you don't get scarred. It don't mean you don't get wounded, but you go through. Mm. And you understand that scarring and that wounding, the lesson in it is going to provide a petrol, or is going to provide a cushion for down the road that will help you in a moment that you can't see now, that is going to push you to purpose later on.
Brother.
Yes.
Honestly, man, the most important part of that, I think, was that section actually, when he talks about how you will always be in pain, you will always be you'll always be in pain, there'll always be uncertainty, and it will always require constant work. But you can tolerate that. You can learn to tolerate that.
You can endure that.
The word tolerate really stuck out as well, because it's like, that's what I think this is. That's an old Buddhist thing of like, life is suffering, and I think people find that off-putting. It's like, no, I don't want to be suffering my entire life. I want to enjoy this experience, this finite experience. But actually, like, when you reframe it, the life is suffering in terms of the people you love will die. No one wants to say that. But the people you love will die. People will get sick. Your relationships will end.
Yeah.
You might not get what you want in certain areas, but you can handle that.
Yes.
As the caveat.
Yes.
Like, I had a therapist one time. The best thing a therapist ever said to me was, anxiety overestimates the threat and underestimates your ability to deal with it.
I love that.
Life-changing.
And who tells you that information?
In terms of?
Who tells you that information?
In that setting?
In
the
that
therapist?
moment. No. She said that anxiety...
Oh, sorry. Well, where does that come from?
Who tells you that information?
Wait, how do you mean?
So, repeat what she said. That
anxiety overestimates the threat and underestimates your ability to deal with it.
Now, who's that conversation?
I am. Sorry, got you, right.
No, but it's sometimes we have made giants out of enemies that are projections of younger self.
Ooh.
I sent a picture to a friend yesterday and I was like, bruh, my pops is mad for these photos. It's me as a kid.
Yeah.
I'm 4. Bro. Now.
Go on.
Some of the most painful parts or the most sensitive parts of me are connected to the youngest transition of my growth and my development.
Yeah.
If 4-year-old me was to walk in through this door right now, you think I'm going to go back up in the corner and be like, please don't hurt me, I didn't do anything, I didn't mean it. No. I'm going to be like, you're quite a cute kid. But the reality is, there are things that happened to that version of me that I understood that as a man, I've created this shadow.
Yeah.
And the shadow is always what? A magnified projection of something that is in light.
Whoa.
Is it not? I'm looking at this stand right now. Dude.
You're going to make me fucking dash
but
my phone at the wall,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Because sometimes we need to dash a couple things in order to release, bruv. And if that's what we got to do today, and we got
that might be it today, bro.
Studio A, and then be like, okay, cool. We're going to set up a 50-year, £5 a week plan, and we apologise for what happened in the room, but we needed to break some stuff and release
Studio A doesn't exist anymore.
It don't exist. It's Studio A plus A. But does that make sense?
Carry on, brother, because you're...
And so I feel like, and it's amazing because obviously watching Stutz, knowing how far in we are to the planning of 2023 and 24 and the conversations you and I have regularly, because the reality is, guys, we don't come on the platform in order to showcase this polished version of self that we're living every day. No, we're just intentionally trying to live the best version of us. And sometimes it's amazing, other times it's not. Sometimes I feel like a fraud. Sometimes I feel like I'm onto something like innovatively amazing that can change everything. But I'm okay with the self-awareness of not knowing all the answers. That's where the key is. To be okay with not knowing, because everything around us is built so that we can know in a moment. What the heck is Google? My ability to have a thought in a moment of what's such and such. And I have 2 or 3 search engines that allow me to go in and they have that information stored. So I no longer need process because Google and Ask Jeeves and all these other things, they process it for me.
Oh, Jeeves.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Jeeves.
Man was just a waiter.
Forgot about
His
Jeeves.
man was a digital waiter, bruv.
He was of service.
He was just like, tell me what you need and I'm gonna hook it up. So we've taught ourselves to not like the process of work. And what did Stutz say? That the 3 main pillars of life are a consistency of...
You'll always be in pain, there'll always be uncertainty, and it always requires constant work.
But yet we are rowing as a race of people in the opposite direction of something fundamental we need to grow.
Well, we're terrified to sit in pain though. Like terrified.
Why?
Because we've created a culture, I think, where we nullify pain with distraction, with medication, and I don't mean necessarily like clinical medication, whether that's alcohol, drugs, my phone, sex, porn, any of those things. Like the second I feel discomfort, I feel I need to fix that. I need to get that dopamine back up again, or I need to get that, and to look away from that rather than sitting in the pain, sitting in the agony or the grief. I heard something recently about a culture that there's a tradition where if you lose a loved one, you are given a grief buddy, and you're sent out into the woods, right? And it's the grief buddy's job to make sure you don't die. But other than that, if you need to fucking scream and fucking eat dirt and lie in the mud roaring in pain because your child died or your wife died and there's no where to put that, do it. Do it. Release that shit. And in our culture, we ignore the people who are in the most pain, or we feel a bit uncomfortable about having to reach out in that way, or we hide ourselves away because we don't want to be seen unpolished, like you said. And I think we're suffering for it dangerously.
There was a conversation I was listening to yesterday where a person was trying to discuss the difference between a person that we celebrate at the highest pinnacle in our society and a person that is at the lowest ebb of our society. And they were saying both of the problems that they share equate to the same thing. The only thing that's different is the filter.
Oh, go on.
So finance and resource allows me to place a filter over destruction that can distract, diminish, and almost allow to disappear. You get the right filter, it will take, like right now I'm looking at Jam and there is a visual mark under his left eye. The right filter, that disappears.
Right.
Even though he's taking the picture, it's still there. But under the guise in which the lens he's seen, it goes. I have a scar under my left eye.
Me too, actually.
We just took a picture out there and there was a little bit of sunlight coming through the double glazing window. That thing disappeared. The difference between a person that's disenfranchised, they do not have access to the filters that allow the distraction from the destruction of their life to be taken out of the context of their who. So with a person that has resource, it just means that you can hide the destruction. You've got a bigger space underneath your bed to sweep it under, or the wardrobe's a little bit more dense and has a bit more depth so it can hold a few more skeletons. And the reason why I think we were meant to see Stutz yesterday is because there are some things that we're planning even towards the end of this year in terms of conversations we want to have. And actually, I want to talk about this because next year for me, the reason why trying to plan this uni tour is important is not only the fact that I'd love to hang out on a tour bus for a couple of months with you.
Oh, brother, that's the dream.
The type of like literature and other stuff that we'd create would be amazing. I am determined that whilst I am and I remain, to leave as many traces of divine nature seeded and planted in the earth as possible. That in the soul sense of what I'm saying, I plan to leave a a field of space that equates to what the Amazon is. Even if you try and get some wild ideas and try and start burning that down, there's so many hectares. And I also want it applied in a way that one of my favorite passages is this. And it says, there's hope for a tree that if it be cut down at the smell of water, it will sprout again. There is hope for a tree that if it be cut down at the smell, not the touch.
Nah.
Bruv, oh my, listen. And I love the mic.
Listen, I love this mic.
This thing nearly just, brother, honestly. I had to just,
we might have to get some insurance in this building, bruv.
You know when it goes like, taking a break. We must have to implant them. Brother, okay? And I'm going to try and really keep myself. Actually, I'm going to sit on my hands. Now, the reason why this thing gets me differently is because for the tree to get cut, someone tried to murk the tree, bruv. That is attempted homicide on a nature level.
Natricide.
Bruh, I like that a lot. So, in how we understand it, oh my gosh, the equivalent would be, Jam, you kill me, okay? You take my life, okay? So I am now here and I am just a being, but I'm lifeless. It's saying that my body that is now no longer working in unison, that if the nasal passage inherently, because obviously it's a root system for trees, that's what really gives it its life. It's not the part we can see. That's just the grandiose bit that we get gassed about. Look at the trunk. Look at how much it's shadowing and look how much it's covering. But the real life of it is in its root system. If I can just get around oxygen, I can live again? After you took what I need to be from me, I just need to get in the realm of life. That's why the Stutz thing was deep. And these are the three. That was a nice segue. These are the 3 points that I want to talk about. Life force.
Yes.
The power of pain and the pain of power.
Yep.
And the third thing, access.
Okay.
Now, in terms of, and I can work that back to front. I remember I texted you yesterday and I was just like, after watching the first 2 minutes, I actually didn't need to watch anymore.
I actually felt the same. I was like, got you. Well, I say that mid-point through, I was like, okay, I'm glad I didn't predict that. But yeah.
100%. I mean, I think we're way too thorough to...
Yes. The zoom out, if you know what I mean. I thought we zoomed one degree in further, one X in further. But yeah.
I understood the whole intention of his journey, the reason why he wanted to make it, and the bridge he crossed to get to that place in the first 2 minutes. The reason I say that is because we are living in a moment, a season, and a society where everybody is absolutely obsessed with boundaries. Everything is boundaries. I get it. That's why we have fences. That's why I only have a key to my house and not yours.
Brother. Same come.
However, I was saying this to my dad last week. I said, he caught me in a moment where I was a bit annoyed. And he goes, what's wrong? I said, Dad, I am sick of people begging me to help or save them. And when I'm trying to give them the means of saving them, they're going, oh, no. I'd rather be saved with a boat that kind of semi-lifts me out of the water, and then there's a dryer machine that comes down over me, and then someone comes and eases me out. Listen, if you're drowning, and I've got a little rubber dinghy thing, brother, I'm throwing you the rope. Grab it.
Just the rope.
Listen, you want to live? Grab it.
Yeah.
You don't? Your decision.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And sometimes when you are in a place and you have come into contact with something greater than yourself, your ideology of boundaries, and I mean in a mental sense.
Yeah.
Jonah needed help on a mental sense.
Yeah.
We erect the boundaries that we use to keep people in and out on a mental sense. He doesn't get to the point of being a gateway for the world unless he breaks down his own borders. And the reality is, we're electrical beings.
Quite literally.
So then the power is in our connectivity, not our isolation.
That was one of the things that hit me the hardest, actually. When he said, he talks about, I gave an example of when you're in deep depression, and it was like, sit with someone at a restaurant or whatever, even if you don't like them, even if you find them in crazy boring or unbearable or annoying, because they're representative of the entire world. They hold within the potential of the entirety of humanity. And tapping into connection that way is the only way to free yourself from you. It's the only way. It's the only way. And in our culture where we're going more and more inward and more individualist and more independent, where is the community? Like genuinely, well, I mean that's actually a question. Like, where do you think the community is? Because I think a lot of our, I'm not changing subject, but like, I think a lot of our generation, I think it's going to be massive in this post-secular age, no religion, no spiritual practice. I think it's going to be a massive return to some form of more traditional religious community within our generation, I think. Because the absence of a functioning one is loud. It's loud. It's not working. This isn't working. Like, people feel disconnected and meaningless and worthless.
Can I give you the, how do I put this?
We can pinboard that because that's a whole thing. And I don't want to detract from what you're saying.
No. But it's important to understand, because I think explaining this point clearly will also help us to contextualize the genius and the transformative power of that piece of visual art. Okay. Now, the problem most of us have is that community requires a communal investment to an idea, thing, or truth. Okay? Now,
that's really interesting. Yeah, go on.
The problem is when everybody seeks autonomy, okay, then what you're not going to do is put yourself in a place for submission. The reason why nature works is because in its pre-coding, everything is submissive to the intention of the honest nature of what that ecosystem is. So then a lion can eat a buffalo for the preservation of the pride. The buffalo can live and share space, and depending on what's happening on a nature and environmental level, they learn how to share space that one naturally dominates in order for preservation. And inherently in them, because the respect for the pre-coding is at the forefront of everything they do, they have submitted to the coding of their purpose. So then it only goes wrong when the humans get involved and decide they want a little bit more of that nature land for development. Or we're doing things with the natural minerals and resources that are in their natural habitat that means that we're now messing with how they have been purposed, planned, and put to dominate, live, grow, and be. Yes or no?
Well, yeah, because we must be the only species on the planet that places value in the symbolic nature of the thing rather than the thing. So even like, say, a bird that collects a shiny spoon for its girlfriend
levels.
This girlfriend bird that it drops off to be like, got you a spoon? Do you like me? That's to transact something. Like, obviously that's symbolic in itself, but it's what we do is we double down on that in every facet of our society.
Bang.
Down to like jewelry or brands. Everything. Things that like completely arbitrary. They have no value. Really no value.
Because we now have an exchange system that means that if I can equate my natural wealth to either double, triple, or quadruple what this is going to cost me, then I can have as much of it as I want.
Mm-hmm.
And in the pre-coding of the nature that surrounds us, their only proclivity is to take what's needed. Like, let's keep it 100. Do you think that the lion's not aware that in certain parts of the season that there is more of what it wants and then there's less of what it wants?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we know that animals are ridiculously intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
So then just mark 5, 6 or 7 buffalo and stash them somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it understands that level of hoarding, first of all, the environment isn't built in order for them to preserve it that long.
For sure. Yeah. Nature has its way anyway.
So it goes, okay, I need to basically prepare what I need.
Yeah, that won't perish.
Secondly, it also understands in the parallel same way, okay, cool. It also has its own duties and services that it only has to provide to its family in terms of whatever it has in terms of its what's the word I'm looking for, nomadic traveling group, as well as what it does for its species.
Mm-hmm.
And they've managed to outlast moments and times that are way more, what's the word I'm looking for, problematic, because we have dominion over the planes that we have, sea, land, and air, and yet still can't find balance. They have no dominion, but have still found balance within the imbalance we've created. So in terms of what you said with regards to a generation that is unable to find itself, we can't find ourselves because the thing we need to find, we refuse to acknowledge even exists. That's why we're in trouble. And that's why some of what we're planning for next year, I don't care what you do with the seeds. I don't care. I know you need covering.
Yeah.
I know you need shelter.
Yeah.
I know you need the nutrients and sustenance from what this seed's potential is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the process for you. I'm just going to give you what you need in order to get to what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing in between is exactly what you're talking about. That's how you find you.
Yeah.
Patience for endurance.
Yeah.
Get it right. Get it wrong. Understand how powerful you are. Understand how insignificant you are. What's purpose? How am I pre-coded? What's time? How do I live in time? What is the understanding of time? The other big thing I took from Stutz yesterday is preparation.
Yeah.
That man's about to die.
Oh, bro. He's been feeling like he's about to die for fucking 40 years or something, right?
And all you see, as I was watching the outer shell diminish, his inner man is so alive.
Oh. He's angry about it as well. You can feel there's a slight anger to it. And one that he accepts, I think. The impression I got, I'm not sure if you agree, but I felt that there was a slight... You know, when he was like... He was talking about how... he was like, I don't want to... he's scared that he won't have time to do all the things. When he's like, this conversation is 10% of my stuff. And I need to get it all... Like, I felt... That resonated with me in a way that's like, I've got this burning sense of like, ooh, there's limited time.
Can I say something really scary?
Please. Please only ever do
I
that.
don't know how people are going to take this conversation because I feel it going somewhere that is... Anyway.
We'll find out. That's what it's about.
What's the last thing you just said? because I fully just
That-
like I know what
You time travelled into a couple of dimensions. I know you do that.
No, it's
I've
cool.
seen you do that a couple of times.
I'm here.
Sometimes I try and come with you, then I'm like, I can't make it. I can't make the jump.
No, you can. Of course you can. Of course you
There were
can.
certain times the journeys to be taken alone.
No,
not
at all.
I was saying that I think I felt that there was a slight burning sort of anger in him, feeling that there's not enough time to get to impart his message upon the world.
Okay.
Or his, his sustenance,
Okay. No.
essence, maybe.
100. All of that. No, it is. His anger and his frustration comes from the fact that he would rather have had the revelation of himself sooner. Why did it have to take a disease that was going to release him from what he knows to pull out the antidote that the thing he's going to leave behind needs?
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why did we start this podcast? I'm asking. The truth.
The real answer is
The truth.
the truth. We were on the phone. Well, we've been on the phone for years.
Say that one more time.
We've been on the phone for years. 8 odd years of these conversations.
Jam, very quickly as you're there, let's just do that as a basic mathematical equation, okay? So do me a favour. Do 24 times 7. That's all good, bro. Yeah, how about that?
There's no dead air in this show, but we can sit in silence 20 minutes if you want, bro. I don't mind.
24 times 7. Yeah. What is that?
168.
Okay. And then do 168 times 4.
672.
Okay. Do 672 times 12.
8064.
Okay. And now times 8064 by 8. Should take us around maybe like 64.
4, 5, 12.
64, 512. 64,512 hours went into the investment of this podcast before anybody knew we were having these conversations.
There it is. There it is.
Preparation, time. And by the time he'd been seasoned enough, let me sit on my hands.
Bro.
By the time life had seasoned him enough for him to get to the place where it was no longer a decision about what he felt he could do, but now it became about what he had to do. That's what these poddies were. They were 5 years of us enjoying soul-nourishing conversations and going, wow, there's somebody that thinks on the same level that I do.
Yeah.
To us then going, now we have a company, and at the root of our company, we want to help people. To the point of going, oh my days. Heaven is allowing us to have these conversations because there's some solutions, some antidote in these conversations going to help people. How can we mass produce this?
It's not lost to me that's, we don't do anything to make some of these things go viral. We don't do anything. We just put them, we don't do anything other than put them in a space. Well, I mean, in terms of we put them in a space where people can have access to it. And then we leave it alone.
Lucas, we live and work in the most visual marketplace known to man.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what we did.
Yeah.
We decided, as we were waiting in the wings to come on stage, man put on their birthday suits, bruv. Walked on stage swinging.
Breezy.
Brother.
Breezy.
I nearly caught a chill.
Brother.
Man nearly caught a chill. A chill. Are you hearing me?
Look on pneumonia.
Bro, I went on rubbing Albus oil. Why? Because only at our most stripped back would people actually believe there was no sleight of hand or Houdini type presets going on. And at that stage, they then start bringing us, I got a dressing gown for you in case it's a bit cold. I'm oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Because now I've gained the level of authentic trust where I'm going, there's nothing more than what's inside me that I want to give to you.
Yeah.
And if that's good enough for you, it's yours.
Yeah. Do you know what? one of the parts that I think that's one of the parts resonate with the hardest. I think the whole thing fucking resonated with the hardest. But like him discussing the nature of his Parkinson's, it's kind of like, so obviously I'm type 1 diabetic, right? And for those that don't know, maybe you don't know, and that means, right, that if I don't actively pay attention and decide to stay alive every day, I'm dead in 2 weeks, a month.
Yeah.
Tops.
Yeah.
For real. Oh, and in a coma some point before that. And like, and my body's completely dying.
Yeah.
Like every minute of that. I have to every day decide to be alive. I have to every day choose to remember why it's important to be alive. And I should have died when I was 22. Like left to no medical intervention or technology. I should have been dead at 22. That was the end of my script. So I'm in like golden time. I'm in overtime. And something about that gives you a really unique perspective of the importance of every single minute and interaction you have and day and what time is and the nature of the impermanence of all of this. And I think maybe having that age 22 rather than say someone who's diagnosed with Parkinson's in their 50s. I mean, I think Stutz was diagnosed when he was actually in his 20s, which actually super rare. It sound like, unless I misunderstood that, but you know, like most people get towards that part of working life out towards the end of their life when it's like, oh, I'm winding down. I thought I might, like a little part of me thought this might just go on forever or something, you know what I mean? I had a rude awakening when I was 22. And like, I think it's created this space where life's just more beautiful because I notice it.
You're present.
Yeah.
Every day, he has to prepare to live whilst he's getting ready to die.
We all are, and that's the rub. Every single one of us is.
When you just clicked and thingy, I know you got it. That's like nice. Honestly,
Slot it in. Just slot it.
No, you're quick.
Whether it's in that example I just gave where it should be me at 22, or whether it's you at 80, or it's you at 105, or whether it's you.
I don't say. Here's the other thing I would say is, for me, it's not overtime; it's appointed time.
Yeah, I hear that, and I would agree. Actually, I would agree. Yeah,
but
yeah.
in a society that has no basis of understanding what's greater than them, that's living within them, you can't believe that anything is set aside for you that you don't prepare for yourself because we're autonomous. And every day, like Stutz, you have to prepare to live.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the things in place at those moments of the day, you realize that something else will take over and will expose your lack of preparation.
Yeah.
And how many of us are living every day and going through decades and moments and transitions with no preparation, and are then breaking our own heart, wondering why we can't enjoy the success of process because we never prepared to endure.
That's one of the things I think we can be of use in this context on the podcast, because like I think we both have an awareness of the sort of myth that a lot of people tell themselves about, say, anxiety or depression. And I don't mean the myth in terms of those things don't exist, because my God, they exist. What I mean is, I think a lot of people internalize something like depression or anxiety as, oh, I have depression, I have anxiety. The same way you might have an autoimmune disease, or you might have cancer or something. Or like, it's this undeniable, ineffable thing. Yeah. Where actually it might be, and often is, and I can attest in my experience, it has been this, that I'd over narrativized my own emotional world and labeled it in a place that confined it to being, I'm trying to say, let me be more articulate with this, like,
you're being amazing, by the way.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. I want to get exactly the point what I'm trying to say. Like, what I mean is, I used to, pre-therapy and pre the last few years, looked at anxiety as, oh no, I'm feeling anxious, I shouldn't feel anxious. Rather than, oh, I feel anxious, that's fine. That's just the response to my environment. And yeah, well, what if I'm anxious? I've got this going on and this going on, and I'm like, there's endless reasons to be anxious. But yeah, of course you're anxious at some point. Or I feel sad, or I feel low, or I feel like I don't have access to the sort of hopeful future I thought I might at this place or at this time in my life. And as soon as you learn to be like, oh, but that's fine though. I feel anxious. I had a panic attack. Okay, okay, cool. Like, your body sort of goes, oh yeah, no, that's fine. And much of what the resistance is is you refusing to acknowledge you're in pain. If you know what I mean. Like on a practical, pragmatic level, someone having a panic attack, like the best technique to stop having panic attacks is to, like, when you feel the sensation of a panic attack coming on, tell yourself, like, fine, yeah, cool, I'll have the worst panic attack ever. I'll pass out. I'll be sick. Like, I'll vomit. I'll have a nosebleed. Like, it'll be the most embarrassing, stressful thing in the world. Yeah. And like, as soon as you sort of incorporate that into the reality of that could happen and you'd be fine afterwards, your body sort of goes, oh yeah, no, yeah, that's right, it's fine, you're fine. And much of the resistance of a panic attack is you like trying to like quell the feeling, trying to like push the feeling away. And I think that's true with all of our suffering, all of our pain. It's like, if we ingratiate, like the shadow thing, if we ingratiate that into our day-to-day life, like, I'm in pain and that's cool, I'll just be in pain. And like, that's absolutely fine. I'll be in pain for a bit and then that will, whether I like it or not, pass. I couldn't keep it if I wanted to. I couldn't sit in this pain forever if I fucking wanted to. Like, if that makes sense.
No, it makes all the sense in the world. It's the real power of what I felt, what you were saying, is that in order to endure, one first has to be willing to embrace without understanding.
Yeah. Why? The why doesn't matter. My therapist said to me one time, she goes, the why doesn't matter. The how matters.
The why... Okay, and I'm with you. The why doesn't matter as greatly as the emphasis we place on it in the moment. In the basis of the equation, the why is like maybe the fraction or the division sign that's like, you know, when you used to get those kind of harder maths questions where it'd be like 2 times 2 is in brackets and then you go divide it by 4 to the power of whatever.
Yeah. Simultaneous equations.
The why is like the second part of the equation that sometimes our mind becomes scrambled by the first part because now we're seeing brackets and some other mathematical signs that's asking us, what do you mean I now have to do this sum in parts? I thought it's just one big long sum.
Yeah.
Life is sums in parts. And sometimes our inability to understand why we have to do the brackets first and not just pick the last part and then go back to the first, it unnerves us because now we don't have the level of control we allowed ourselves to believe we had before we went into the moment of trying to figure out that transition. There are some things that I'm learning now about transitions of my life that even in the last however many years I was about to go into, that I wasn't ready to go into because I wasn't going in on the basis of trusting process. I was going in on the basis of knowing a set of protocols that I've seen repeated over a consistent period of time that makes more sense for me just to do those than to go through the pain of the transition of a process that I can't understand and I can't control. I'm a massive control freak. It's probably why I keep such a small circle of people around me, because I can quite easily deduce in a better way what you're likely to do, what Jam's likely to do, what Silk's likely to do, what my folks is likely to do, than me being in some group with a whole bunch of people and there's some chemical that's been added that I don't know what it's going to do to the main batch of this thing. And you're telling me I've got to basically handle whatever comes because of this thing over here. Oh, no. That can't run. And being able to get into a place where you can sit there and go, actually, if I'm going to attain the level of growth, maturity and understanding that I want, it's going to need complicit moments like that from myself that allows me to understand that everything isn't about what I can personally control. Some of it is about what I can affect by just being. Does that make sense?
Brother, it makes the most sense in the world. We've got so much more to get into.
I was about to say that. And how?
Yeah, we're about an hour in, so let's. Is that right? About an hour in?
Yeah. So are we going to take ourselves a little?
We're going to take ourselves a little after hours.
I love that.
Yeah. So anything we missed in this about the Stutz thing, and just deeper, more in-depth conversation about this.
Actually, I still want to talk about the because I've got those little two headings. So we spoke about access a little bit, but I want to talk about the life force and power of pain.
In this, or should we do it in our...
Oh no, I can do it in Patreon.
Great. Okay. Cool, guys. So if you want to listen to the rest of the conversation, jump over to our Patreon. £2 a month.
Can I also ask a question?
Please, brother.
And I want, first of all, to act like back in the day, these Avon ladies, used to come and knock on the door.
I remember them.
Bruv, the way they used to get my mums,
bruv. My
mum,
differently.
my mum, I'm not getting anything from Avon.
I
But
could get a little.
we'll see, Sister Orling. We will see. And especially when my dad was away sometimes. My mum used to go ham, bro.
Oh, I was on QVC, bro. Do you remember that one?
Do I remember that one? Yes, brother. If you're up at the right hours, which you are, you probably still catch QVC.
Bro, I'm trying to find the channels this day, bro.
Listen, so to all of the wonderful people that are listening, and I was going to do this in like a role play, but that's just long. Don't need to do that. We are literally setting up the Patreon because there is so much more we want to be able to do. And we want to be able to share. Lucas and I have been working for the last 3 years towards a vision of this thing called the Inheritance Project. The Inheritance Project is the biggest exhibition expo that you would see this side of the continent in terms of us fusing excellence in our industry with truth in our industry with transformation in our industry. Because it's all the parts being shown of what it is, but also creating a community of creatives that are rooted in something that is bigger than a deal, a production company, a studio, a label, that you understand the life force that is in you that creates the antidote for the world. That's what Patreon is about for me.
Yeah.
I want to find the next generation of Jedis and Avengers so I can go, listen, I don't have all the answers. I got a couple for this module here though. And I don't want you, man, having to stay on this module any longer than us.
Bro.
Makes sense? And that's why, like, guys, in terms of what we're trying to plan and what we're bringing, if you can, you're going to want to jump on that Patreon.
You there's a lot there for you.
I promise you.
There's a lot there for you. If you enjoy this, there's a lot there for you. If you didn't enjoy this and you're in this deep, then I don't know what your kind of masochistic interests are, but
listen, whatever gets you here.
Listen, but we appreciate you even if you hated this.
I doubt you did, but if you did, we still love you.
We still love you.
So we'll balance out your hate with some love.
Follow us on Insta at Think You Do Media. Mine's at Lucas Jones, 2 S's on the Lucas, 2 S's on the Jones. Sean's is.
Mine's at www.marypoppins.com.
Mine's at keep me off that smoke.
Well, yeah, yes and no, because there are times when I message you and I'm like,
they'll find you anyway.
They'll find you anyway. And then we're like, nah, let's not tell people. But yes, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify.
YouTube.
Oh my gosh. And we've got some amazing content coming for the YouTube because we've actually just, I mean, we're going to talk about it a bit more in Patreon, but we've now developed the music department of our company. And we've got some really exciting stuff to be showing you guys in a little bit. And the Cube has been amazing in terms of them housing some of the stuff we want to do. So yes, guys, YouTube at Think Eden, TikTok at Think Eden, Instagram at Think Eden.
All of that.
And we're there.
Love you all very much. Thank you for listening to Spill. Love you, brother.
Love you too.
Love you, Jam.
Later.